And she party on the weekend. She be rolling through them streets. Yeah, different rapper every season. It ain't always been that way. No, it ain't always been their season. But they know gotta make a work to get you through them situations. Yeah, on and on. Gotta do some things just to blow your mind. On and on. Now you're walking in that favor, feeling so alive. Just keep your head high to the greatest. Super fresh up in the latest. They never thought that you would make it, but look, mama, we made it.
Mark your calendar now to attend I Love Me on Purpose Conference. Living your best life now. August 5th through the 7th, 2021. Hear from diverse and dynamic speakers. Pastor YPJ, Dr. Tony Alvarado, Jay Barnett, Evangelist Latrice Ryan, Dr. Tiffany Jordan, Pastor Chris Harris, clinical psychologist Dr. Cassandra Simmons, recording artist Nicole C. Harris, and our conference host, Dr. LaVel Hardy, pastor, author, thought leader for today's generation. Set aside this special time just for you at the Doubletree Hotel, 5000 West 127th Street, Alsip, Illinois. $125 registration fee is required to attend. For more information, visit www.ilovemeonpurpose.com. See you there.
I remember you asked me, you said, how long do I have to reap? I said, probably a lifetime.
And I was like, a lifetime. I said, no, I need you to go to your prayer closet and get another.
Hello, family and friends, social media. Thank you again for joining me. I am Dr. LaVel Hardy, CEO of I Love Me on Purpose Foundation. We're coming to you with something special. I have a guest joining me tonight. She has experienced hurt, anger, hatred, lies, abandonment, just a whole lot of stuff has been dealt to her in her lifetime. But yet God turned her life around. She has a saying, and it's so befitting for everyone, and it just simply says, own it, O-W-N, own it. And she always says that the things that she's gone through with, that she has to own her mistakes, her failures, her actions, which is important for all of us to learn, because so many of us, we blame everybody else for our issues. We blame everybody else for what we're doing. But if we just own our part, I can't change nobody, own our part. So I'm so glad to have her here. She's experienced many ups and downs, in and outs. So I need you to help me welcome LaToya Winton. This is new for her. She's
very new.
She's not used to this. But if I had, you know, if I had an audience, how she clapping for herself now? She started.
Oh, I was told not to laugh.
That's okay, Toya. Her laugh is very annoying, but that's okay. She's married with 3 children. I've always admired her life. She became a member of God's House when?
Oh, it had to be. Jasmine is 18, so maybe 15, 16 years ago.
15 or 16 years ago. Faithful members, loving members, dedicated, loyal. So I don't know a lot. I didn't know a lot about her life prior to coming to God's House. But in testimony, hearing her speak at Bible class, and that's one thing I don't do. Let me put my disclaimer out there. I don't force people to tell their stories. It's up to you. And many people have told things that they've gone through, and they've shared it with me, and they'll say, use me for example. I don't mind. But no, I'm not going to use it until you put it out there first. And she and her husband both have said our life basically is an open book. And I'm grateful because I've always said when God delivers you, your deliverance is not just for you, it's for somebody else. So somebody's going to have to share a story that somebody else will know, okay, yeah, I've gone through that, or I'm going through it. Or when I do go through it, I'm going to remember back to somebody that told it. So again, I'm grateful for LaToya being here, and we're just going to have some chats about her life. You know, she said she wanted to focus mainly on herself.
Right.
Because we got to stop focusing on everybody else.
Right.
It is, whatever happens in my life, I'm going to take blame for it. I'm going to be accountable to myself. But
for your own actions.
For your own action. She said, you know, her childhood, being a teenager, and some other things, so abandonment. And she wants to mention how she overcame those issues. Mm-hmm. Because let me tell you something, I know it wasn't easy.
No, not at all.
I know it wasn't easy. So why don't we travel back a little bit to your childhood? I know you had told me that you were raised by your grandmothers and your aunts. And even as a child, you found out, because of so much stuff going on in your life, you found out that you were even on high blood pressure medicine.
Yes, so, well, as growing up, my mom and dad, they married, they had me young. I think they were 18 and 19, I want to say. I always tease them and say I was a prom baby, a prom night baby, because I don't like that my birthday is in February. So I always say, why did you all have to conceive me at prom night? You know, I wanted to be a summer baby. But they were young, and so they hadn't found themselves, or, you know, they had their own issues.
Yes.
So I would go back and forth to my mom's house and my aunt's. Mm-hmm. And then by them being young, they would argue a lot, you know, and stuff in front of me. So I witnessed a lot of that stuff. So as I got older, my aunt, one of my aunts who helped raise me, she said, yeah, you were on high blood pressure as a kid. Wow. And I'm like, no, I wasn't. Mm-hmm. She's like, no, ask Granny. Granny is my dad's mom. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there's no way that I was 4 years old or however old I was, and I was on high blood pressure. Right. Like, it makes no sense.
Right.
She's like, yeah, because Granny would always say, they gonna kill that girl.
Wow.
You know, so it was just a lot of things, you know, coming up early on that I saw. And like I said, it wasn't, you know, they probably just didn't know better. Mm-hmm. They didn't know how to raise a child and things like that. But God put loving people around them that, you know, encased me also. Exactly. So I wasn't just, you know, I had that love, but it, you know, I'm not going to say my parents didn't love me. But, you know, I had that embrace from other people to take me in.
To that village.
Exactly. And it definitely takes a village. So, you know, I always credit my two grandmothers, my aunts. I lived with my one granny. I moved with her like in 5th grade. Okay. So I was raised with them, and it was a lot of us in one house, but you never lacked anything. You definitely never lacked love or food. Right. You know, and we didn't have a lot, but through that, you know, it was that because when I lived with my mom, she met this gentleman, and he just was no good. He was no good for her. He was no good for us. And so we lived without a lot. We lived without food. We lived without water. Wow. Like hot water or gas and lights. You know, that's how my brothers and I had to live. So, you know, it was a struggle. I had to help to raise my brothers. And that's something that a child, a 12-year-old, that responsibility should never be put on them. Exactly. You know. Yes. So, you know, I made it through those times. Thank God. It was rough. And that's usually my friends tease me and tell me I'm really cheap. But they don't.
Yeah, that you are. But
I wouldn't say cheap. Let me reword that. I'm very frugal with my finances. And it's because of my upbringing. You know, I always said I never, ever wanted to go back to not having. Yes. But I'm starting to get a little better with that. But anyway, that's not this segment. So I'm not.
That's okay. That's okay. It's part of your life.
But, so, you know, raised by my, you know, back and forth with one grandmother to the next one. And then, you know, eventually settling in with my granny, with my aunts. And At one time, it was probably 15 of us that lived in this one house with one bathroom.
Wow.
And everybody, but we never complained. If somebody was in the shower, you had to use the bathroom, you sit down, you use the bathroom while they was in the shower. You know, so, you know, we just never complained.
Exactly.
We would do stuff for fun, have showtime at the Apollo, you know, things like that. But I never knew, because at that moment I was happy because I was surrounded by the love.
Yes.
But not realizing that by me not being with my parents, it was setting me up to have issues later on in life.
Yes.
You know, so I had those abandonment issues. I had those insecurity issues, those trust issues, because, like I said, at that time, at that moment, while you're in the moment, you're not thinking about it. But as you grow and you become off and things around you, and I was like, wow, I'm a little screwed up, you know, like, and I'm screwed up, and this is why, you know, and I'm not going to fault my parents because stuff happens, you know, but it's just that you think that how can someone else tell you how much they love you when your own parents wasn't there for you.
Right.
So that's where those trust issues, those abandonment issues, you know, and all of those other things come into play.
It also keeps you from accepting genuine love.
Absolutely.
So it's like when somebody does something,
it's always a motive, you
it's
think.
Always, it's a reason they do it. Because nobody has a genuine love. That's and you grow up with that.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about being abandoned, and all of that has a lot to do with our adulthood.
Yeah. Yeah.
People don't understand that.
Because you carry it on too. It's just like you keep burying it and burying it, and then you take it into your relationships, and not just your, you know, male, female, but your friendships. You know, you can't be a good friend because, again, you know, why you want to be my friend?
Right.
You know, things like that.
Were you guarded?
I was guarded. I was mean. I would fight all the time, like 7th and 8th grade. Oh, yeah, I would fight, but still not knowing that I was angry because of these things. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I would fight. I would just do stuff that I shouldn't have been doing, you know. But fast forward to, you know, not knowing teenage years. You know, I'm not living with my mom anymore. I'm living with my granny and all of my cousins and aunts, and we just happy family. I'm thinking I'm happy, but not knowing that deep inside I'm hurting and you know, crying out for help. That's why I'm fighting, and you getting calls to the school, and they telling you she had one more fight. She's not walking across the stage, and I'm just like, I don't care, you know. But I maintain good grades all the time. Right. But it was still like I was hurting, and I honestly didn't realize it, you know. And then I, you know, graduated 8th grade. My mom didn't come to my 8th grade graduation. Wow. She said, I believe that her son's boyfriend graduated from kindergarten that same day. So she chose to go to his.
So her son?
No, her boyfriend's son.
Her boyfriend's son?
Yeah. Okay. Graduated from kindergarten that same day. So she went to his graduation instead of my 8th grade graduation. But I blew it off again. I'm like, well, I had my granny here, my grandma, my dad came, and then his girlfriend at the time who came, because she made sure I was set for graduation. You know, she made sure I was okay. You know, and my aunts, everybody was cheering me on, and you know, still buried it. You know, buried it. Who don't want their mother at their graduation? So something else, I buried, you know. So then graduated from 8th grade, went to school, and I'm like, I'm not catching the bus because I went to Dixon, and I'm living on 65th and Horn.
Oh, wow.
So I caught the CTA every day in the cold. In the winter, I'm catching the bus, and I'm like, I'm not going to any high school that I have to.
And some of you all are still complaining. Go ahead.
That I have to catch the bus too. So I ended up going to our neighborhood school. Went to school, high school. I always did good in school. I always got good grades. I met my now husband when I was 15. And I was pregnant. Got pregnant with my first child.
Wow, at 15 years old. At 15.
Had her at 16. Still went to school. Ended up getting pregnant again with my son at the age of 17.
Wow.
I had to be in the hospital with him for two months. So I would have my boyfriend then, Carl, bring my homework down to the county because I'm like, I cannot not graduate from high school.
That's determination.
Yes.
Wow.
And the determination was there because I already came from a broken home. I was a teenage mother. I was raised partially in Inglewood. That's 3 things.
Wow.
I didn't want to just be that statistic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was determined to make it through high school. And actually my son, and I'm really transparent with my children. And they know like my struggles growing up. They know how I had to basically be a mother to my brothers. They know about, us living in houses that were we basically squatters. We weren't supposed to be in there. They were basically abandoned. They knew it was no hot water, and it's nothing like going to bed cold, waking up to wash up with cold water, then going to get on a cold bus stop, so it's nothing like that. So my determination, even though I was still hurting, my drive and my determination, because I just didn't want to be.
Exactly.
I just didn't want to be that girl that came from a broken home. I just didn't want to be that teenage mother.
Right.
I was just determined to pull my way through. But still, again, burying that hurt.
Yes.
My kids brought me joy, but still bearing it. Still bearing it. And even though I was a teenage mother, I feel like my kids kind of saved me. Because I probably would have been in the opposite direction.
Yes.
I always joke and say that I should have been a drug king. I just feel like I should have been that. So, not saying that I would have been, but, maybe the kids, they probably, curved my lifestyle a little bit. I still was determined to get an education. So I tell my son that, when I found out I was pregnant with him, I actually went to the abortion clinic. But I just could not go through with it.
Oh, we're so glad.
My boy. So, I didn't go through with it. I had him. So there's 2 kids. Hadn't finished high school yet, but I still finished high school on time. Walked across the stage. And I'm not bragging because it was only God's hand in everything.
Let me say this. Brag.
I don't.
That's part of your life, part of your story. And yes, brag because you did it.
Yeah.
Yes, God did, but you did that.
Yeah.
You did it.
And it was hard.
Yes. So no, you have a right to brag. Give yourself accolades, pats on the shoulder, because you did it.
So you want me to do a split right now?
No. You sit right there.
All right. Okay, I'll do the split at the end. I'll do it at the end. Split coming at the end.
Right.
So, so I got, through to having them, finished high school on time, married my now husband, still, that deep hurt inside. I always thought it was an ulterior motive for him. Like, you don't love me how you say you love me. I don't believe you. So all of that hurt from a little girl, from what I can remember, or what even affected me from what I
What's
can't
the
remember.
earliest you can remember?
I can remember stuff from 3 and 4.
Okay.
From 3 and 4. I can remember being the last kid in the, nursery school. Wow. We lived all on the north side. So I would be the last kid at the nursery school. Because I don't know if they were working, got mixed up, or they, I don't know the backstory to it. Right. But I know that my uncle, again, those people that God placed to help me along this journey, my Uncle Philip, he was young. He was like 18 or 19 maybe. And we lived all the way on the north side, like by Cub Stadium. And he would have to catch the bus from 95th in Princeton Park to come get me because they hadn't picked me up yet. So I would just be standing in the door like, they forgot me again. Wow. And that probably affected me. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm the only child, and I'm sure the workers was probably angry about
part of abandonment.
Yeah. So my uncle would come get me, so I could get picked up and things like that. So that was, part of my issue. So, of course, bearing it, never letting it show, putting on this front like I'm good, you know, I'm just taking care of my business. Once I had
like somebody
kids,
see you say, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm good."
fine.
And we
I'm
know
good.
better.
Yeah, but deep inside, I'm dying,
Yes,
basically.
yeah.
And so once I had them, Carl and I got married. Took all that baggage.
Now, how old were you when you got married?
24.
Okay.
So 24, and then I had Jasmine at 25.
Okay.
So I finished high school, wanted to go to college, tried to go to community college for a little while, but high school and community college, when you have two kids, totally different.
Yes.
So I ended up dropping out of school and just working with the two kids. Still hurting, but not realizing it. Like I honestly didn't realize that I had so much hurt and anger in me probably until a good 10 years ago. You know, I'm 43 now, so I was carrying that along forever.
Because it was the norm to you.
It was the norm.
And that's what people, when you're going through, you accept it because it's the norm. You know, it is what it is. It's kind of like, well, it was my life. You know, it's like when you don't know better.
Right.
You don't really do better.
Yeah.
So you didn't know the other side. This was the norm to you. And you probably kind of thought other people were going through it too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But so, you know, brought that into my marriage. You know, things were going okay between the marriage. You know, we were both young. And so he did stuff, but then it's like I one-upped him, up to him. You know, because like I said, those abandonment issues, those low self-esteem, you know, that low self-esteem, those issues that I had, they finally came to a head.
Right.
You know, and not that I was dealing with them. They were there, but I dealt with it in a different way. And that was by infidelity, you know, stepping out on my husband. So this affair was absolutely horrible. And, you know, when I look back at it, because it's like if you love someone, you don't ever want to put them. And I just see what I put my children through. Because, you know, I expressed to them, they knew what was going on.
And this is the unusual part. So many people have that.
Yeah.
But your family knows it all.
Yeah.
The 3 children, how I know, because they have come and talked to me about it. And I admired that because there's no holds barred in your family.
Yeah. And, you know, the reason, of course, I tried to hide it. I wasn't just like, hey, here you go.
That's what I'm doing.
Right. But once the children knew, and I knew, because I've always been in church. You know, my granny, she read the Bible. You know, I had that foundation, I would say.
Yes.
So I knew to give my children that foundation.
Right.
So the reason why, you know, I was open with them about once it all came out. Of course, I was embarrassed. I was shamed and all of that because it's like your mama having an affair on your daddy. Like, who wants to hear that?
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
But I knew that they would pray about it. You know, and I'm like, and once it got so I was like out there and, you know, because at first I wasn't even praying for deliverance. You know, I'm like, this is just me. I'm going to do it. I've been taking care of everybody all my life. I'm tired of taking care of kids.
I'm going to do me.
Right. I'm like, I'm tired of taking care of kids. I'm tired of being unhappy. But I had to make myself happy while I was looking for the happiness somewhere else. Yep. And I had to own my stuff. Absolutely.
Love yourself on purpose.
So I had to own my stuff, you know. So eventually, after folks was praying and laying on the altar for me, I'm sure. Who was she talking about? Anywho, you know, folks laying on the altar and, you know, stuff for me. So, you know, then I started to, you know, pray for deliverance for myself. And I was praying for deliverance, but then still, you know, straddling that fence and things like that. And then, you know, that's when I was like, I have to stop this. You know, and it didn't help that the person was a lunatic, you know, things like that. And, I mean, my husband actually took me back, which is, that usually don't happen with a man.
With men.
You know, I mean, he had his eye turned him on. Not that he hit me, but he's like, get your, you know, get out my house. You know, I was homeless for a little while. things like that. But
Yeah.
I can laugh about it now. Not that I'm saying adultery is a laughing matter,
Exactly. No,
but
I know what you're saying.
we went through a lot.
Mhm,
I
yes.
mean, Pastor, did you get tired of counseling us or me? You got tired of me?
Let me tell you something. This one here has a little stubborn streak to her. Used to. Yeah. Used to have a little stubborn streak to her. And, sometimes when you're counseling, it does kind of get to you because it's like your words just in the air.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you feel like you're wasting time.
Yeah.
I never felt I was wasting time, but I would get just so frustrated with this one because I'll be talking and she'd be like, she was gonna. It fell on this and went in this ear, and even before it went in, it fell off.
Yeah,
and
get there.
So one day I said, I'm not gonna waste time. I just dealt with her husband, even called the kids in, and it was so. One day I called the kids came into the office. I was talking to them, and I said, "What is it that you would really like for your home? Your home, your mom, your dad." We just want her to move. Mm-hmm. I said, ooh.
Yeah.
They said, we want her to move because everything that she's bringing into the house it's just not right.
Corruption.
And it makes the atmosphere tainted. And it's like poison just spewing out. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow. I began to pray even harder. So when I got tired, I just said, Lord, if I could just shake her. So what happened was that God told me to leave her alone. Mm-hmm. Remember I told you that God said, leave her alone. Don't say nothing to her. So really, when you would come to church, I would do what? Speak and kept it moving. And I've always talked to them.
Right. So one time we went on a girls' trip to Wisconsin Dells. And we on our way back, and Pastor had wrote letters to everybody. And Tiff passed them out. Everybody, here, so-and-so, here go your letter. So-and-so, here go your letter. And I'm thinking, well, maybe she didn't get me mad because I'm driving. I said, well, she really is through with me. She didn't even write me a letter to say what the Lord then gave me. So I said, I really got to get my act together. But it definitely took prayer. Mm-hmm. I mean, because, and then even after, I ended everything, like I said, he was a lunatic. But anyway, after I ended everything, I went in such a deep depression because of the things I had put my family through.
Right.
So, I mean, I was depressed. Mm-hmm. Didn't even realize I was in a depression.
Yes.
Like, I laid in a bed so long and so for so many hours, I got up and I was like, dang, it's an indentation. And I know I'm a look.
So you weren't depressed. You were in a state of depression.
Absolutely.
Because that's the lowest of the low.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even come to church. Mm-hmm. I mean, in my sin, I would come to church. Then I got out of it and stayed home. It absolutely made no sense to me.
Right.
But I would just lay in the bed, and I remember laying in the bed, Minister Gray called me. Mm-hmm. She said, I miss you when you coming back. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I miss you too. No, I wasn't coming back, Mm-hmm. And then I started reaping. You reap, you depressed. I'm like, Lord, just take me now. I'm like, this is too much. But in my state of depression, I think that's when I actually really started to see me, for what I was doing and for all of the hurt and the anger and the bitterness and the abandonment and the low self-esteem that I had been hiding for all those years. Yes. And I was like, you blaming everybody else, for your stuff. Okay, your mama and daddy did this. So what? Okay, you had them kids. You had to raise them. So what? First of all, you a mama. That's what you were supposed to do, no matter what age you are. Right. So, I was like, I'm responsible for my actions. I'm responsible for healing myself. I'm just responsible for my stuff. Yes, and that's why I was like, own your stuff, Toya. Right. Like you have to make yourself happy. Because, I was going like, I was unhappy as a kid, sometimes. Now I'm an adult. I'm not going to be unhappy as an adult. I should be able to be happy. But you're going to find happiness in the wrong place. So you're still unhappy.
Exactly.
Exactly. So it was in that state of depression that I own my stuff. And I was like, you are, oh, I can't say that. You are messing up. You done messed up, girl. You know, like, right. You have messed up and you owe people an apology for your actions. You know, you can't make your issues everybody else's
That's
issues.
right. That's
you
right.
know, and that's exactly what I did. You know, like I made my issues my husband's issues, my kids' issues, my pastor's issues, my close friends to me issues. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and that wasn't fair to anybody.
Yes.
You know, because those are your issues that
Right.
you never dealt with.
Exactly.
So I dealt with my stuff. It didn't come without reaping because anybody who knows me, I reap like in 0.2 seconds
you do something at 12:02, at 12:03 she's reaping.
And I reaped so bad that I went to school to get my associate's degree as a physical therapy assistant. Finished school, did everything, was sending. You had to take your licensure test. I took that test 4 times and failed all 4 times. That test is $500. Because I had in my mind, once I had my licensure, I was leaving, I was gone. And God said, ha, sister. I took the test 4 times. I'll never fail no test.
Yeah, God told me, he said, I'm not going to let her pass the test because her motive is wrong. When you pass the test, your motive was to leave family, do you.
Absolutely.
Because now I'm going to be able to make some money.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be able to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And I'm out of here. God like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not. And when I say she took that test over and over, and I wanted to tell her so bad, I wanted to tell her, Toya, don't take it, because God said you're not going to pass it. But God put a gag order on me. God spoke to me. He said, she's not going to pass it, but you better not tell her. I'm like, oh. Because all of that had to do with reaping.
Yeah, and I reaped. I reaped in my finances. I just reaped mentally. You know, I called Pastor one day. I was so frustrated. I said, look, you have got to tell me, how long is this reaping going to last? I said, because this is too much.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like Carl was on edge. Like if I said I was on, you know, because I had messed up so much.
Right.
You know, so if I did or said anything, it was like, you know, and I'm like, dang, I'm going to have to deal with this. Like, I'm sorry. You know, like I said, I'm sorry. But, you know, after you've hurt someone for so long, it's not you saying, I'm sorry, it's just going to do it. It's your actions also. Right. You know, so, I mean, I was like, this has got to stop.
Because I remember you asked me, you said, how long do I have to reap? I said, probably a lifetime.
And I was like, a lifetime? I said, no, I need you to go to your prayer closet and get another answer.
And I said, the reason I said a lifetime is because you could do one little thing and Carl is going to go right back.
Yeah.
Because that's all that's on his mind.
Yes.
I said, so the minute it goes back, here it comes again. And you could be honest and upfront, not doing nothing, but in his mind.
Yeah.
And I said, so if you just settle for a lifetime, you know, not that every day of your life, but it's kind of like a person who has been delivered from alcohol or drugs. They say they're only one drink away from going back.
So are you saying I had an addiction? No, I'm just kidding.
That's something to think about, y'all. Let's think about that.
So I mean, I would not wish reaping on my worst enemy. You know, I'm so transparent. I'm just like, look, if you're doing it, because you may not even have my same testimony.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my family forgave me. My husband forgave me. You know what I'm saying? But your friends, or, you know, my friends stuck with me. You know, stuff like that. Like, you may hurt someone, those people that's close to you, and they may not never forgive you.
That's right.
So now you're alone, reaping and depressed. That's a horrible combination.
Yes.
You know, so I'm glad that I did have people that genuinely love me, you know, to stand by me in that, you know, in that whole fiasco of a thing that I created.
But you had to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have.
See, you can't. A person can't be helped.
No.
Being phony, being hypocritical.
No. I had to own my stuff.
You had to own it, and I wish people would do that more often.
Yeah.
Own it. Well, my husband did. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, he did whatever. Yeah. But you still have your
yeah, you have
ownership.
To own your stuff.
And I admire that about you, because you didn't pretend. You know, it was what it was with this one here.
Yeah.
She didn't pretend to be something in front of me, you know, and Carl, yes, Carl was hurting, and oh Lord, we can't go into some
of course
stories,
he was. Duh.
Because you all that.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking, y'all, because, you know, I'm a little nervous. But, you know, I really like.
But you are all that. He kept you, didn't he?
Yeah.
Y'all got back.
And we are like, we're actually doing better after that than we did before.
Yes.
Literally. I mean, he gets on my nerves, and I get on his nerves, I'm sure.
He gets on everybody's nerves.
Yeah, but he gets on everybody's nerves. If anybody knows him, knows he gets on everybody's nerves. But it's like, it's almost like we got to know each other more or something. You know, I can't explain it, you know, and I repented. I was like, but I repented, you know, like, why do I still have to go through this? But it's like you honestly have to own your stuff. You have to deep down see what you're fighting. And that's what I had to see, the demons that I was actually fighting.
Exactly.
You know, because if I had to heal myself. Because if I didn't heal myself, I would have continued to hurt and then hurt others.
Yeah, because hurt people hurt.
Yeah,
people.
And I was hurt. I was hurt inside.
And those, like you referred to demons, it's not like she had to have a demon cast out.
Right.
The demons that she's referring to is the spirits.
Yeah.
And those spirits, because you encountered them at such a young age, what happened, those spirits matured. They matured. And so as you got older, you didn't realize you were nurturing them.
Right.
So you were allowing them to grow, become grown, become active in your life. And people, if they own it, you know, people want people to be what they want them to be.
Right.
But
you can't.
You know, because you're not what they want.
Exactly.
You know, you're not everything that they want you to be. So the only person that we could change is us.
Yeah.
Myself. You know, I can't do anything. And I remember going through all those nights when, Carl would come over at midnight. You know, he was red as his heart here.
Right.
Just, you know, but I told him, I asked him a question. And I said, do you want your marriage? At one point he said, no, it's too far gone. She don't want it. Why should I want somebody that don't want me or whatever? I said, Carl, the Bible says you shall have whatsoever you say. What do you want? I said, whatever you say. And that's why I tell the people in the church, be careful what comes out of your mouth.
Yes, please.
Quit talking stupid.
Yeah.
I said, you shall have whatsoever you say. I said, I'm going to give you, I think I said a week or so. I said, but I want you to tell me, what do you want? I said, because whatever you say, that's what you're going to get. And when I went back and asked him the next time, I said, what do you want? Do you want the marriage or do you not want? He said, yeah. He said, if things change, I would want my wife back. That's what I want. I said, well, then you'll have it. I said, but you got to go through some stuff.
Yeah.
And it was funny because Carl kept me informed of the court days because they were going through a divorce.
Oh, I forgot about that.
This one filed for divorce.
Oh my gosh, we went to court four times. And then Tress and Carl are grown and we not in family court. And I'll never forget that judge. He was like, I don't like the setup you have with this youngest child. And I'm like, dude, we're not in family court. Just grant me my divorce.
That's that little ghetto part. Dude, I'm going to tell the judge, dude, come on now. Okay, go ahead.
I'm like, we're not in family court. Just grant me my divorce. So we went back. He said the paperwork was wrong. So then the third time we
when y'all went to class?
Yeah, we were supposed to take a parenting class. Right. So we did that.
And Jasmine's 50.
Right. And he was like, this paperwork isn't correct. So again, the third time. The fourth time, I said, I'm just going to get a new judge. Still, oh my God. Still, I'm like, I'm going to get a new judge. I'm not dealing with that judge no more. And I went to go get another judge and stuff like that. So literally as I was walking out of the courtroom, and it was like, just let it go. As I was walking out of the courtroom door, it was like, just let it go. And from that voice, I guess it was God, huh?
Of course it was. devil definitely wouldn't have told you to let it go.
So, I heard just let it go. And then I actually let it go, and I was like, I'm not going to court no more. Like, it's a reason. Because how our paperwork messed up 4 times, nobody does that.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to let it go. Let me go ahead, get my life together and get my family back, you know. So then, again, still was reaping. Oh, my God. I felt like I reaped for 40 years. Like, Jesus, what is going on here? It was so bad that it was just bad. I had no money. My car would break down.
Couldn't pass the test.
I ended up getting up. I was almost like Job. I had boils. Remember that time I had boils?
And breakouts?
Yes.
When I tell you, this, you could see, I told her number sin.
I just had sin.
Sin all in her face. I mean, this broke out. It wasn't little bitty bumps. It was humongous all over her face, just breaking out.
And then remember I got them on my other part of my body.
Yes. God,
yeah.
like, okay.
Jeez, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I should have probably just gave up at that point. But no.
But when she got it together, her face cleared up. I mean, God just, go ahead.
And I just, like, really, God just, honestly, once I own my own stuff, stop putting the blame on others, you know, stop talking about, well, it's my past, you know, feeling sorry for myself and all of that stuff. Once I started doing, going through that process, I started to, you know, get better with stuff. And then I was saying, okay, I want to go ahead and get my degree. Because like I said, I didn't want to be a statistic. You know, I didn't want to just be a teenage mother, broken home, raised in Inglewood, you know. I didn't want to do that. So I called you. I prayed about it, talked to Carl, called you and said, you know, I was like, Lord, you know, do I go back to school, you know, this and that? And so I prayed about it, talked to Carl, called you about it. And he was like, yeah, you know, go ahead. Why not go? So I went to school.
She done got on my nerve with this school, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I went to school, and it's almost like I can't even explain the blessings that I started getting. Because our son was in school too. So we trying to pay tuition. My hours got cut at work. But when I tell you, every time something went on money-wise, we were able to pay it. I walked in the office my last semester of school, and they were like, well, you owe $3,000. And I was like, well, you know, I don't have it. I said, we paid my son's tuition. You know, I don't have it. He was like, well, you know, I can give you a book voucher. You can buy your books, you know, stuff like that. No, it was more than $3,000. It was actually $9,000.
Okay.
And I walked out. I walked down the stairs. I walked down the stairs. I said, well, Jesus, you heard what he said, because I ain't got $9,000, so I need you to get this $9,000. And he was like, well, the guy said, well, you know, I'll try to see if we got old scholarships or something that people didn't get. They graduated and left. So he was like, give me about a week. So I went back, and he was like, I found you some scholarships. It's a thank you scholarship. You know, people just donate money. He said, it's a thank you scholarship. Here you go. He was like, can you pay the $900? I said, oh, I could write a check for that $900.
Favor, y'all.
You know, so things like that, you know, really start opening up for me. And then, you know, I'm just like, dang, Lord, I was messing up all this time. Like, I could have had this stuff and not reaped. You know, things like that. But even through that, I realized that I was still holding on to something.
Yes.
I was praying I was watching something, reading my Bible, I can't even remember, and it was saying that make sure that you have a pure heart and you have forgiven people. So in my head, I'm going through, I'm like, okay, I forgave that person. I'm good. I got to this one particular person, which was my mom's ex-boyfriend. And I could not say it. Could not. And I text Tiffany and Shanette, and I was like, y'all, I cannot say that I forgave this man. You know, because I always felt like if my mom had never met him, our life would have been different. You know, because he was, you know, and he really was. He was just, I'm not going to talk bad about anyone, but he was something, you know. So I blamed him, too, for my childhood, you know, because I'm like, before you came around, we were good. You came around and just feel like hell bust open on us, you know? So, you know, and then I was like, dang, I could not say it.
Right.
And all these years, this was just recently. And I was like, I can't say I forgive this man.
You called me?
Yeah, I called you. I was like, Pastor, I've been holding on to this. I can't. And I would try. And the words would never form. Like, I could not say it. I could not even say it. So then I was in the shower. And I was finally able to say it. And I cried in that shower for like 20 minutes. And I was like, I've literally been holding on to this for so long. And I was able to actually say, I forgive him. You know, I said his name. Yes. And then like maybe a day or two later, I was talking to my mom and she said his name. Nothing kicked up. Yes. I said, oh my God, I didn't forgave him. You know, I was like, I'm a little free now. I felt a little light in my feet. Like, Dad, finally, you know. But you know, like I said, you hold on to stuff. And it's not until you get to know yourself to know what you're holding on to. Or like, it took me to really, like I said, I had that foundation laid. You know, thank God for that. Because I probably would have been really messed up if my grandmothers hadn't laid that foundation. You know,
somebody prayed for you.
Exactly. You know, if I hadn't been made to, you know, go to Sunday school and vacation Bible study.
And that's why it's important that we give our children a good foundation when it comes to God.
Yeah.
Because there comes a time that they're on their own.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they'll be able to reach back. Well, I'm not making my child go to church, but you're giving them a foundation. Once they get a certain age, you can.
Yeah, you can.
But,
right.
Like you say, that foundation, you know, even with your children, when they've gone through stuff, just personal stuff going through as a teenager, when they've gone through, they say, well, you know what? Trust would say, you know, I had to pray the other night.
Yeah.
Because it's a foundation. Yeah. And I'm gonna go back to something real quick, and it just hit me when you were saying how your mom didn't go to your graduation because she went to her boyfriend's son's graduation. I just thought about your graduation when you got your bachelor's. She and her son's graduation was on the same day.
The exact same day.
Toya's graduation and Carl's graduation was on the same day.
Yeah.
The same day. And you were not going to go to your own graduation because you wanted to make sure you was at your son's graduation.
Absolutely.
You said no. And they like, no, Ma, go. And how long a drive was it to Charleston?
It's like 2.5 hours to Charleston. So it's so funny how God works everything out. My graduation was at 10. Carl's was at 3. He was able to drive up for my graduation. My last name starts with a W. I was in the first call. Wow. The first call. So I was able to get my diploma and leave right out and go to his. And my family was so angry at me because I'm like, if it's at the same time, I'm not going to my graduation. I'm like, this is my boy. Everybody knows how I feel about my boy. Yes. I'm like, my boy is graduating. I'm like, I'm not going to my graduation. And he was like, Ma, you have to go. He was like, look how much you sacrificed. Yeah. And I was like, I get it, but I'm not going. He said, well, if you don't go to your graduation, I'm going to tell the president of my college that you walked across the stage with me.
He sure did. Yeah, he told me
I said, well, whatever works, but I'm going to be in my graduation.
He said, my mama walked across with me if she don't go to her graduation.
But one thing I would say about my mom, she missed my 8th grade graduation. She has not missed a graduation since then. She has not missed any of her grandchildren's graduations, events, anything. That's why I said she was dealing with her own issues. Yeah, she had her own issues. And I can't hold her. Did I hold her accountable? I'm not accountable, but at fault for that, of course, But she has learned and she has not missed anything. She called me the other day crying because Jasmine, because of the pandemic, everything was canceled. Yeah. And we had her drive-by graduation. I can't come. Make sure you do Facebook Live. I'm like, Ma, it's okay. But she has never missed anything of mine.
And how God has restructured you all's relationship.
Absolutely.
Because you all are close.
Yes. I was on the phone with her coming over here. I talk to her, all the time. So it's like she gets it or she's gotten it or, you know, whatever, because you don't know what people are dealing with.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, as a whole, you know. But I can tell she has never, if she have to drive down here from Minnesota by herself, she is going to be here for everything that we have.
Yes.
So,
she's an online member. She's an online member.
So, you know, you just have to really, like I said, how I got through with it was, of course, like I said, that foundation. I prayed a lot. We would have things at the church where you would say, write things down that you want delivered from. And I would put that person's name on there. And I would put, we went to another women's event and it was like a poll or something. Write what you want to be, and I would put that you know, so once I finally was like, if you don't get your life together, you going to hell and you going to be all jacked up. You going to suffer here on earth and go to hell. And, you know, it's, you know, I'm hot now. So I definitely didn't want to go to the hot spot.
I know
so, you know, I just had to, you know, first really pray, you know, those sins out of me. I had to repent to the people that I hurt. I think I cried and repented to you in your office back there. Yes, you did. You know, I had to repent to my friends that, you know, I had brought into it. And I had to, like I said, own my stuff. I had to deal with my hurt, my low self-esteem, my, you know, my abandonment issues. I had to deal with all of that in order to, you know, not for anybody else, you know, not for anybody else, but just because I didn't want to continue to live that life.
Right, you had to rip the cover off.
Yeah.
And just let it go.
I had to stop putting the Band-Aid on something that needed surgery.
Exactly, yes.
You know, you can't keep, you just can't keep getting that Band-Aid that needed
that's right.
surgery,
that's right.
stitches, and
that's right.
stitches on the inside and out.
Exactly.
You know, so I had to really own my own stuff in order to make myself whole and to really get forgiveness from my family. You know, because I could have went in there snotting and crying, but if my actions didn't line up, or if I was still that hurt, angry woman, you know, it didn't matter. You know, because I still was going to spew out that venom towards everyone who, you know, who loved me.
And your children admire you so much. They respect you. Yeah. Let me say this. The reason they respect you is because first you respect them.
Yeah.
And you respected them by being open up with them, being honest. I'm not saying you have to tell your family, your kids, everything. I'm not saying that. That worked for her.
Yeah, it worked for my family.
She opened up to them, but they weren't dumb either.
Exactly.
They knew what was going on, but they weren't going to address it with her like that.
Yeah.
But you had to open up to them, and it just let them know, wow, she's being honest.
Yeah.
Because if you hadn't opened up with them, they're like,
right.
We already know. She just don't know we know.
Yeah.
And even through everything that you've gone through, and let me tell you something, I know you all enjoyed it because when you hear what someone has come through and the accomplishments they made, so being going through your childhood, abandonment, I'm just kind of bringing all of it together. Helping to raise your brothers, being their mother, you know, being your own mother.
Right.
When
I was still a kid myself.
Exactly. But yet you had the village with your grandmothers and your aunts. So you did have the village. The teenage pregnancy.
Twice.
At 15 and 17.
Right, 16.
16.
Yeah. Well, I had
Trust at 16. And then turned around and had Carl at 17. And the infidelity in the marriage. And I didn't bring up nothing that she wasn't going to talk. I'm not going to put people out like that.
Right.
Then the reaping part. All of that. You still got your elementary diploma. You graduated. You went through high school. You graduated. You went to college. Got your associates, bachelor's. And now she's finishing. How much more longer you got?
Next July I'll be finised. So
getting her master's. 1 more year. She'll be getting her. I wish I had an audience. Come on.
Do I do my split now? Or?
No. Because we have to be sewing some stuff up. Just sit there. Split in your mind.
Right.
But I'm like, wow. I'm grateful because you didn't allow all of the stuff you've gone through.
Right.
You didn't use that as a crutch.
Yeah.
I've counseled so many people, and when I'm looking at them like, you the main problem.
And I was definitely the main problem. I was the main problem. I was the main problem in my household.
Yeah. And to own that.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, he's got to bless you. He's going to bless you, and he's got to bless, and even more to come. Yeah. And the life, God has blessed you all so much.
Yes. Like, once I got my stuff together, it's like, it was just like, whoosh.
You're all able to sit, laugh, and talk about each other's families. Carl talks about her family.
We talk about you, Mama. We talk about you all the time, Mama.
Yes, Lord. and Toy talks about his family.
I would never.
Lord, forgive her. Lord, she love him, but she talks about
I would never.
She talks about
But like I said, I feel like it made us strong as a whole. And I'm still like, I asked the kids, we were coming back from somewhere the other day, and I asked them, I said, well, what would you do different as a parent, when you get your own children that we that we did as parents? And all three of them said we would never argue in front of our children. So, I had to repent for that because I was the one starting all of the stuff. You know what I'm saying? I was the one creating the atmosphere, making all of this stress in my household. So this was just, I want to say on Father's Day, I asked them that. And, and they said I would never argue in front of my children because that did damage to them.
Yes.
So I had to repent for that. So I'm still, repenting and asking for forgiveness from my children on stuff.
Because as you find out stuff will open up. They'll say something next week that they never thought about. But there may be a particular situation or circumstance that will ignite that. And like you say, arguing in front, you probably hadn't really thought about it.
I hadn't even thought about
it. When they said, oh, okay, then that's what I need to do.
And I'm just like, I don't want them to have that same deep down anger and hurt that I have. I don't want them to carry that into their adulthood or their relationships or their marriage. So this is why now I'm trying to see what I did wrong, see how it affected them, and I want them to talk to me about it, so that way I'm breaking those generational curses.
Exactly.
I want them to be successful in life, in their marriage. I want them to put God first.
Yes.
And another reason why they did, well, it was in their face, but I opened up about it because I tell them, like, I want you guys to see what God can do. Because I know they were praying about our marriage, even though they was like, I wish that lady would just go. But I knew that they were praying, they still see the glory of God. If you pray and if you ask, that you can still receive it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So they see that their parents are back together.
Yes.
Yeah,
and the smiles is genuine.
Exactly, because I would be smiling and be broken in the inside.
Yeah. The happiness is genuine. So I just admire the Winton family. Such a great testimony.
Yeah.
We couldn't have a husband here because we you know what?
He don't know how to act.
He don't know how to act. You can't really take him serious. He already think he's a bishop, but it's called bootleg bishop. He has a church, but it's in a vacant parking lot. And he said that it's, just pray for him. But when I used to see him go through, and he's a man, so he's not going to come and cry and stuff.
Of course.
He's a man. But I saw his heart bleeding. And I told him, whatever you want. And when he said he wanted his marriage back, I said, then God's going to give it back to you. But you had to go through all of that.
Right.
You had to go in order to appreciate the moment now.
Yes. And it's horrible that, sometimes I sit and wish that I had realized that earlier, so I wouldn't have to hurt the people that I love. But
it is what it is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing we can do about it.
Right.
My husband always said we can't change nothing about the past.
Sure
we can definitely change our future.
Yeah.
So when we look at the past, I can't cry over spilled milk. Give me a paper towel, let me get it up and let me keep it moving.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. She said she was nervous.
Yes.
But such an awesome job. I told her, I said, Toya, it's your life.
Yeah.
It's your story. Once you start talking, it's not going to be no big deal.
Yeah, and it was easier once I started talking.
Because that's your life.
Yeah.
That's your story. And I said, I'm not going to bring up nothing. That's why I let her do the talking. And then if she brought up something, I was able to address it. But I want to thank you.
Thank you.
And I know that you that heard her, I want you to take heed to the word. Own it. Own your stuff. Quit blaming everybody else for your issues.
Yes.
I always say if somebody has an issue with me, that's their issue. It's not mine. So I ain't got nothing to do with it. Own your stuff. That's the message we're trying to get out today. Once you start owning yourself, once you start owning it, everything's gonna turn around and it will be okay.
Yes.
So she owned it, and this is what she had to learn to do. She had to love herself on purpose.
Yes.
Sometimes we give so much, like she took care of her brothers.
Yeah.
She wasn't taking care of herself like that. She was making sure, you even said one time, I had to make sure they ate.
Yep. I had to make sure they ate. I had to make sure they had, car fare.
Mm-hmm.
I sound so old, car fare.
Car
Who says
fare.
that?
Old and country. Car fare.
The school I had